Today I'm talking about the hot topic, webinars and video calls. Are you getting them right? And more importantly, how can we use them to influence people and win business? Okay, let's get started. Live events will be coming back, and now that many more people are seeing the true benefit of adding remote events into their marketing stack, we can expect to be doing a lot more of things like this. But although we spent years perfecting our approach and our image in meetings, we're a little further behind when it comes to our image on the virtual stage. So, how can you influence people and win business with your video calls? To answer that, I'm going to break this session into two subjects. First, we're going to make your Zoom calls and webinars look and sound better, and your presentation more natural so you can influence viewers. Then I'm going to tell you an easy way to structure webinars so they are great stories that engage people, that drive action and convert business. Before we dive in further, let me run through a very short intro to me so that you know that I know what I'm talking about. I was a filmmaker at the BBC for 12 years and spent my 20s running around the world filming documentaries about helicopter rescue, heroin addicts, cheetahs in Namibia, genocide in Rwanda, and I spent 5 months embedded with the Royal Marines during the Second Gulf War. Along the way, I worked with and trained many well-known presenters. The whole Country File team I worked with, including Mickey, Adam, Ben, and of course, Mr. John Craven. Having done all that stuff, I left the BBC and started up Hurricane, which is now a highly experienced video marketing agency that helps brands create content worth watching. We do strategic planning to help fit video into your marketing stack, and we create content for national TV commercials all the way to brand promos and online events. To top it all off, I've written a book called Video Marketing Strategy and now have an online course called, you guessed it, Video Marketing Strategy. So basically, I'm a total nerd. Okay, with that out of the way, let's crack on with part one and get you looking, sounding, and presenting great video calls. First up, 4 technical tips. Number 1, the biggest thing that lets people down is poor reception. It makes your sound drop out and it turns your face into weird pixelated squares. Now, it's not normally the speed of the internet to your home that's the problem, it's the speed of the Wi-Fi throughout your house. The best way to stream video is to avoid the Wi-Fi totally and plug a network cable directly into your router. If that's not possible, get a Wi-Fi extender that works across the mains wiring of your house so that you can plug a cable into that no matter where in the house you are. Number 2, on to sound. Your laptop has a teeny tiny microphone that's 3 foot away from your mouth right next to a fan. It is the very worst way of recording your voice. So place a microphone as near as possible to your mouth. You can get a headset if you don't mind looking like a pop star, a lavalier mic that goes straight onto your shirt, or even a USB mic that sits on the desk in front of you. Okay, number 3, don't sit in front of under bright light like a window. The first makes you into a silhouette, the second gives you huge shadows under your eyes and your chin. Turn to face a window and turn off any overhead lights and suddenly your beautiful face will be lit perfectly. And if you can't sit in front of the window, place 2 natural looking soft lights behind your camera. You're going to put one on the left and one on the right, which will smooth out all those wrinkles and put some light into your eyes. Okay, number 4. If you really want to go fancy, you can use an external camera that connects via USB, which will make you look like this. Next up, 3 framing tips. 1. Webcams are often on your phone on your laptop, which is held below your eyes like this, which is the very worst place that you can put a camera. It makes you tower over the viewers like a kind of dominating, aggressive dictator. Do anything you can to get the lens level with your face. Stick the laptop on some books, get a selfie stick, get a tripod, put it on a shelf. Anything to get the lens level with your eyes. Suddenly, viewers will have a view of your face that they're comfortable with. Number 2. Now that viewers are no longer looking at the design of your ceiling, they can see what's in the background. So, just take a moment to tidy it up. Plain backgrounds are better, as they stop viewers trying to guess what's on your fridge and see what all your notes are. But if you don't have control over what room you do your calls in, just take down anything unnecessary and reduce all the clutter. Okay, that's the first 2 tips. Third tip. The chair that you sit on matter. Don't use a squeaky one or one that swivels because this is very distracting. Okay, just get a static one. Okay, finally, 5 presentation tips. Number 1, make eye contact. Look at the lens as much as possible. If you do need notes, put them on the screen near the lens so you don't have to look too far away to see them like that. Looking away from the lens when you're talking can make you look shifty, and if you're not talking and you look away, it just makes you look really bored. So keep eye contact up as much as possible. If you need to duck out, turn your camera off. That's easy. Number 3, if you're presenting, use a clicker so that people don't hear your keyboard like this, which is incredibly annoying. And number 4, mute yourself when it's not your turn. Don't be like the Welsh Parliament's Vaughan Gething, who shouted F-bomb expletives at a colleague thinking he was on mute, which is a clip well worth digging out. Finally, number 5, please don't shout. There is no need to raise the pitch of your voice or project. It just leads to an underlying sense of aggression. Instead, imagine that you're talking to someone 3 foot away, lower the pitch of your voice, avoid projecting, and be as conversational as possible. So there you go, 12 instant tips to success. Now you look great and sound great. And we can move on to how you actually come across on video. I'm going to focus mostly on what to do when you're on a webinar or a conference like this one, but it all applies to video calls, so you can use the tips in Zoom just the same. Okay, so I've been a guest on 11 webinars and conferences in the past 4 weeks, and I've made some mistakes and I've learned a lot. Number 1, however, easy. Just don't use WebEx at all. It's horrid. I reached an all-time virtual low with that platform last week when I tried to close a video that I was showing and instead cut myself off from 300 delegates in the middle of a presentation and had to log back in, which is just really awkward and humiliating, to be honest, so don't do that. Another super quick technical tip before moving on. If you are a speaker, my big tip is to have another device like a phone logged in as a participant so that you can at least see what everyone else sees. Then if your slides aren't appearing or you disappear or no one can hear you, at least you'll find out quickly. Okay, now we can look at the good stuff, how you present yourself in the best way. A vast amount of what you say in a meeting is unspoken. And although you can be seen in a video call, you are still not there. So you miss loads of unspoken communication, but you can get some of that back. The big things that are missing for me are hands. Gestures reflect how you feel and add authenticity to what you're saying. The number 1 thing to do is actually to sit further back from the camera so that you're not just right in here like this, okay? Now, that isn't a problem if you're on a video call because people like to see your face, but if you're presenting a webinar and you're up on the full screen, it's a great tip. Just bring the camera back, okay? When you sit further back, your hands come into play. Now, you don't want to overdo hand movement, but reinforcing your points is a great technique, and freeing up the shoulders relaxes presentation style, just makes everything feel real, okay? And now we can see your hands. Let's think about the zones in which our hands are working so you can be more convincing. Hands down by our side instantly lowers our energy, okay? It brings the shoulders down, it sort of looks sluggish, it makes the viewer instantly think that we are bored at best, apathetic at worst. Lifting the hands naturally brings up the energy in our voices, and as we start moving our hands, we become more dynamic, I suppose. Right, so lifting our hands level with our stomachs, we enter what is known as the truth zone. Closed hands here look protective, but by opening out our stomach to the viewers, we look vulnerable and trustworthy, which is, after all, what we're all after. It's corny to overdo it when we're on a video call, but this is where we should be looking to keep our hands most of the time. As an adaptation, if you are sitting down, go between resting the hands on the tops of your legs in a sort of open way and bring them up and down into shot as needed, okay? Don't do this. It looks passive-aggressive. Just bring the hands together as and when natural, but remain open. For me, small gestures work best. Okay, so moving our hands up from the truth zone, we move into this area, which is the passion zone. Hands in this area are super effective in a large room when you're on a big platform. Pumps up the energy and shows that we're super engaged. Now, it naturally highlights that our point is coming to a climax and needs to be listened to. Okay, so on video, it's okay to put your hands in this zone if we're being dynamic, but you're not in a conference room and you're, this big on a frame, so use super sparingly. The screen is close and you don't want to come across like some kind of crazy MTV rapper on a video. It's just like, it's okay to be in the passion zone, but don't overdo it. And definitely don't put your hands up here. Nobody wants to see that. Just as a reminder, okay, something that I have to constantly remind myself about is to speak in a conversational tone and keep the energy levels in track. Like, I'm a bit like a wind-up puppy, and when I see myself back on the video, I constantly have to remind myself to just dial it down so the energy levels work well on video rather than a big conference room. And yes, believe it or not, this is me dialing it down. Okay, so that was part 1. Now, you look great, you sound great, and you're coming across well. So now I'm going to move on to part 2 of today's presentation and give you a great hack to structure webinars so you can win more business. I've only got 7 minutes, so I'm going to pick one tip and explain that. And it's what I call the question and answer, or Q&A structure. In this method, your webinars or video calls start with a big question that your audience loves, which we then break into a number of smaller questions and answers so the viewers over time get the big picture. Works great on long format. So let's start at the beginning. An effective way to grab attention and keep it is to pose a question that's connected to the emotional drivers of your audience. Now, any of you that have seen me talk before will know that I bang on a lot about emotion and the emotional drivers that change behavior. I'm really not going to go into that today, but in order to make live online content as engaging as possible, you must start with what your audiences care about. Products and services, features and benefits can all sort of wait further down the line. At the beginning, we need that emotional connection. If your clients care about changing the world, start with that. If they are lazy and just want to save effort, start with that. Okay, so for sake of illustration, let's say how we can use the Q&A structure in a webinar about skincare product, okay? So we're going to pick an emotional driver for the customers, and we're going to say that they are worried about looking old. So that's what we're going to use as the hook into our webinar. The big question will be, how do I stay looking young? This is a bang on point for what the audience want, and they will be paying attention from the start. That's exactly what they're interested in. Now, we give an answer as soon as that question is posed. We can explain that there are 3 parts to this answer: diet, sleep, skincare, and we're going to explore each in turn. So it's already signposted from the first question. So the big question at the start leads to smaller sets of answers. The next question is, so how does diet affect aging? Then we can answer it, which leads us to the next question, which is, how does sleep affect aging? Which we again can answer. We can explain why sleep is important, which leads us to the third question: how does skincare affect aging? And the interesting thing is that this is where we can move the conversation onto our topic. Note how until now we've just been answering the questions, okay? Completely not selling, just content. But after this question, we can then go on to ask, how do our skincare products work in this situation? And in this answer, we can go into product detail. So suddenly you can see that we've actually brought the viewers on a journey. We brought the webinar back to answer the big question, and we've included our product without being too salesy. The customer can see that they can stay looking young with good diet, enough sleep, and good skincare, okay? And along the way, we got our product sold. Suddenly, what we have is a compelling piece of online content that actually answers a great big question and includes our product. So there you go. This session was in 2 sections. The first helps you look and sound great online, and the second section helps you to structure longer form content like webinars to drive sales. There are loads of other techniques to make webinars effective, but this has been a good starting point. So to wrap up, don't forget that if you found this useful, give it a like, follow the channel, it all helps. And if you haven't had enough of me already, you can get 20% off my book on the link in the text below. You can do my online course, and there's loads more videos to come on this video marketing channel, so keep your eyes open for what's next. So, see you again soon.